A Muslim means one who strives to submit their will to do God's will, to obey God and to submit to God and to do what God tells you to do. Now that you know that, now let me see the hands of all the non-Muslims. You don't obey God. Your hand went down. You still don't obey. You very much obey. But then you a Muslim.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, during the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March, called for 10,000 fearless. And the 10,000 fearless is men and women that are willing to go into our communities in between the weapons, the knives, the sticks, and the arguments to satisfy or to help remedy the condition under which our people live. Fortunately and or unfortunately, we have been placed in this condition by our open enemies, but fortunately, we have the solution to solve our problems. And so whether you're Muslim, Christian, whether you're a brother or sister in the hood, you can be part of the 10,000 fearless. What is the 10,000 fearless? Again, they are men and women that have been tried and tested and that are willing to go into our communities to satisfy the condition in which our people live. To run away, those rogue cops, to run away unscrupulous businessmen, to run away and to call to account politicians and preachers who sell out the aspirations of our poor suffering people.
This divide of Muslim and Christian we've been working on for years. It started in a symbiotic way with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X meeting briefly. Martin Luther King and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad meeting briefly. We tried it again in the 80s when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the first time registered to vote for the great Reverend Jesse Jackson in 1984. And when they were saying, kill Jesse Jackson, Minister Farrakhan stood up to defend Jesse, and then the Jews jumped on him, and we kind of separated again. We came back together again at the Million Man March when Minister Farrakhan had Al Sharpton and the other reverends. We've been trying to come together, and it has been times in our history where it was symbol more than substance.
I would like to present to some and introduce to others national spokesman of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, my brother and friend who I've known for a lot of years in this struggle, and just a beautiful brother. And the Honorable Minister Farrakhan named him Jamil, and one of the meanings of that name is beauty. And he's just a beautiful brother. So let us welcome to the rostrum here in Wilmington, Delaware, national spokesman, our brother and your brother, Brother Jamil Muhammad. Hey, assalamu alaikum, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but the one God, known as Allah in some parts of the world, known in other circles of belief as Jehovah. Some call him specified, they call him Jehovah Jireh, he's the provider. You know his list of names. But he's one God, and he is the author of all truth, and he's the sender of all prophets. And it is in the name of that God and that truth and those prophets that I'm honored to greet you this evening with the greetings of peace and of paradise. We say, Assalamu alaikum. You know, as a Muslim, a believer in Allah according to the system of worship put forward first and organized 1438 years ago by our prophet of Islam, Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the prophet of Islam who revolutionized the world and brought Islam to the state of prominence that it enjoys today, where nearly 2 billion adherents around the globe call and say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. They bear witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. But the wonderful thing about Islam that I love is its pluralism and tolerance. Islam is not the kind of faith tradition or system of worship that causes there to be an exclusive idea. It does not say, we got it and you can't get it. It does not say, we know it all and you don't know nothing. It does not argue over terms when it has a clear understanding of values. To argue over terms without understanding values is to be less intelligent than a kindergartner on the first day of school. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave us the example that in homes across the city, every year in Wilmington, and it's happening this summer right here in the city, loving mothers and fathers are getting their sons and daughters ready to go to kindergarten. They say, in my day they would call it Johnny. This year now they say, Daquan, we're going to get you ready for school. We're going to teach you and give you an edge. So we're going to tell you that 3 plus 4 equals 7. You'll know that, nobody else will know. Across town, in another part of the city, another family is gathering around the table with their daughter. And they say to her, listen, Marisol, when you get to school, you're going to know that 6 plus 1 is 7, okay? Nobody else going to know. In the Muslim household, y'all like to be fancy. You say, little Kareem, when you get to school, you're going to know that the square root of 49 is 7. So then the first day of school, all the kindergartners come on the playground with a little chip on their shoulder. I got this figured out. They not hip. My mom and dad put me up with game. Did y'all know that 3 plus 4 equals 7? Listen, Daquan, you don't know everything. Because 6 plus 1 is 7. You got it wrong. Your mama don't know what she's talking about, okay? What? Then here comes the Muslim brother. Excuse me, hold my bean pie. The square root of 49, my dear brothers and sisters, is what the actual value of the number is. Because you know how the Muslims be doing it. So they all get to arguing because they have learned terms but have not learned values. They're all expressing the same value, but because they don't understand that there's different ways to skin a cat, they argue over terms. Let's not be kindergartners today. Let's understand we all got the same value and go forward with that value. Is that all right? And so I thank Allah for the opportunity to be here on his planet another day. We only have a few minutes together. The clock is ticking, and I want to make sure we do like the OJ said and listen to the clock on the wall. That's for all the oldie fans, you know. Butterball, you know. Clifford Brown Walk, Sunday nights. But I want you to know that when we work together in time and on time, we can do things that can change our time. I'm thankful that Allah blessed me to be here today. I started my journey way west, and I came to the Midwest. Got another plane this morning out there in Cincinnati, and the storms were present, and the storms were washing through like you just saw. So I got into Baltimore, and then couldn't get through the traffic because everybody wanted to see the fireworks in Philadelphia tonight, apparently. So everybody was traveling and everybody was moving, Brother James, but we finally got here, and I'm very grateful to be here. I bring you the love of all the believers out there on the West Coast. out there in the Bay Area, where they all told me to tell you, like, dude, like, assalamu alaikum, dude, like, totally, like, right on. I'm glad and happy that we could be here and that we all are already of a single mind. We just got to work it out. Brother Isaiah, I know that I promised you I would be brief, and I'm going to keep my promise. But I needed you brothers to stay, because I wanted you, all three of you, please just stand up for a second. Now, that's not Curtis Mayfield and the Impression. But I want you to know something. When Allah, God, visits a people, He provides both the great and the dreadful. You heard my brother Lawrence talk about the 3rd chapter of the book of Isaiah, and its stark portrait of the desperation of the times in which we live. That young people would terrorize the streets and not even be ashamed. In my day, if you were a gangster, you at least kept a front job. You acted like you weren't a gangster. No, I'm a trash compactor executive here. But nowadays, I'm a gangster. You're a gangster. You throw up signs. You come to your grandmother's house on Thanksgiving. What's for it? What? Because you're not even ashamed. But I'm so glad, my dear brothers, that the three of you who I watched grow up, Isaiah, I'm not going to talk about how you looked when you was an infant, because it was close, Glad your body grew into your head. Isaiah used to walk like this, him and his brother Emmanuel. But that's my dear brother Donald and sister Cynthia's son. And he has grown, and you brothers have grown into fine young men. And the example that you set and that we are inspired by today is not the example of foolishness and folly and frivolity. It is the example of wisdom and prudence. It is the example of economy of activity. It is the example of righteousness of conduct. It is the example of a steadfastness under trial that belies your age, because it makes you look much older and wiser than you actually are. But now you are coming to the point where the rubber's about to meet the road. And I don't just mean because you're headed back to Baltimore. But I mean that the rubber is about to meet the road, because all across America, as I will give in my report, there are young men like you rising up against the tide of what you saw in Isaiah 3. There are young men and women coming to say to themselves, I'm not going to be a part of the fall of my own people, and I'll struggle upstream. I'll fight against the tide. I'll beat all the odds in the name of Allah to go forward and make a difference in my community. So brother, don't let no sectarianism bother you. Don't let nobody make you set trip about your Islam. Oh, you Sunni? I'm Nation Islam. Oh, you Shia? I'm in the FOI. Oh, you Sufi? You Hanbali? You Hanafi? You Maliki? Whatever your school of thought, let us boil it down to the essential terms and value of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was not Sunni. He was not Shia, Sufi. He was not no Al-Ghazali follower. He was not an Ali Khan follower. He was not an Ismaili. He was not any of those schools of thought or persuasion. He was only Muslim. So let yourself be known as a Muslim. Now, I could say, let me see the hands of my non-Muslim brothers and sisters. And some of you would throw your hand up, but I don't even want you to do it. I don't want you to do it. But I'm going to have to ask you anyway. Let me see the hands of some of my non-Muslim brothers and sisters. Okay, Sister Maureen, brother, good to see you in the orange. Always good to see you. What's your name again, brother? Brother Trent. What language did you take in high school? What foreign language?
Oh, foreign language.
Which for me, English was pretty foreign. German? Okay. All right. And Sister Maureen, what language did you take in high school? Spanish? Okay. Okay. If I say to you, Sister Maureen, are you, don't say nothing now, are you a Frau? what would you say to them? You don't know what it is. You can't say whether you are or not. If I ask you today, brother, are you a caballero? What would you say to me? Can't tell me. Most of us, if you raise our hands and we say we're not a Muslim, and you ask us what is a Muslim, what would we say? We don't really know the specific definition. Is that right? Brother Imam, stop me if I go, because I know you got your belt on and you will whoop me. So please now. Please now. But look, Brother Lawrence, it's just me and you. And Toussaint and Dessalines and Boukman and the Haitians. But look here. If you know that you don't know whether you're a caballero, you don't know whether you're a Frau, but in German, the word Frau just means woman. A young woman is a Fraulein, right? A Fräulein, Fräulein. Excuse me, Herr. Excuse me. Jawohl! In Spanish, a caballero is not just an hombre, but it's a gentleman. Right? So if I told you the meaning, you say, oh yes, that is me. Let me tell you the meaning of Muslim. A Muslim means one who strives to submit their will to do God's will, to obey God and to submit to God and to do what God tells you to do. Now that you know that, now let me see the hands of all the non-Muslims. You don't obey God. Your hand went down. You still don't obey. You very much obey. But then you a Muslim. No, it's terminology. It's terminology, because I'm a Christian. And I don't want us to get stuck on this. A Christian is a person who is crystallized into oneness with God after the example of Jesus the Christ. Therefore, I can call myself a Christian. See, if we allow even a seam to get into the fabric of our brotherhood, then we run the risk of creating a weak point in the fabric, and therefore we can break asunder. I'm saying we got to follow the Bell principle. The Bell principle is named after the great African-American philosopher from Houston, Texas, Archie Bell, who said, only me and you, Councilman, we're the only ones that know. Archie Bell and the Drells said that we don't only sing, but we dance just as good as we want. In Houston, we just started a new dance called what? The Tighten Up. And we have to tighten up our brotherhood. So if you see me in church, don't trip. If you see me in church and I'm singing along and waving my hand, don't trip. Don't put me in your basket because you think I'm supposed to be there. If I holler in church, pass me not, oh gentle Savior, hear my humble cry. You don't know what my journey is. If I see my Christian brother who identifies in church and soldiers on the path of Jesus to Christ and follows his example and submits to God and is being crystallized step by step into oneness with the Most High God by the example of Jesus, that's my brother. And there's no doubt about it. That's the basis of the 10,000 billion. And so tonight, I thank Minister Farrakhan for allowing me to be with you. I thank my dear brother, the regional ministers who serve in this area, Brother Abdul Qadir Muhammad, Brother Rodney Muhammad, those brothers who supervise and look in and make sure that Brother Robert is still tuning and tweaking and jamming. And Brother Robert is one of those brothers here in Wilmington, as your Wilmington representative. He's not a brother that you got to hold your hand on the wheel all the time. He's one of those automatic pilot brothers, because he's doing the work and he's used to doing the work. Now, I do have to take up the issue between you and Brother Lawrence with all this. I knew him a lot of years ago. I ain't been nowhere a lot of years. I went in the coffee shop the other day, they said, sir, will you be getting the senior rate? We're not going to charge you because you're a senior. I said, nobody might senior. Charge me 3 times what it is because I feel good, I'm young. But I went to tell you this evening that those are the things that will make a difference. As I thank Allah for his leadership in the nation of Islam. as I thank Allah for Mrs. Smithers and for the work that she does here in Newcastle County to make sure that she can provide a wing of protection, counsel, guidance, and help to develop this organization. When I give you this report from around the country, you're going to be inspired. I was inspired preparing the report. But when you see it and hear it, it'll be so good, you'll be so happy that you won't leave here the same way you were when you came in. I'm thankful to my brother Lamont. Where's Brother Lamont? There he is. I'm thankful to you, my dear brother, and those brothers who have been working with Brother Dennis Muhammad, Captain Dennis Muhammad, the national founder of the Peacekeepers and Peacemakers movement, who's working with the 10,000 Fearless. Thank you, brother. To all the brothers who are doing that. I thank Allah for all of us who are in this mission, in this quest, in this assignment. So Brother Isaiah, my brothers, as you prepare to go back down, I see you still standing because you really want to be excused right now. If we stand up, maybe he'll let us go. Just keep standing, don't sit down. But I thank Allah for you, brothers, and I want you, when you get back to Baltimore, you give everybody all of our love. We give them a big old hug from Wilmington to Baltimore. Can you hold the hug till you get there? From all of us. Can you do that for us, brothers? Give them a big round of applause like they really deserve. Come on, y'all. And we thank you. We thank you, brothers. You are properly dismissed, but please let us know by contacting Brother Deborah when you get back to Baltimore. Properly relieved, sir. Thank you, sir.
I am so glad to see my brother here. Brother Jamil, we were students together at Howard University in a couple years ago. And not only were we students together, I admired him and loved him, and I'm proud of him. Today, he was the president of the student body, and knew one day our paths would cross again. We were in a woman's studies class together. Two brothers and all the women in the class. The professor was talking, and he might have been leaning over to talk to somebody else. And she said, okay, we're talking about Toussaint L'Ouverture and Haiti. And tomorrow, when we come to class, mister, you're going to lead the discussion on Toussaint L'Ouverture. And the next day, I heard the most comprehensive, detailed discussion about Toussaint L'Ouverture that I have ever heard in my life.
Brothers, sisters, we got a little work to do. Oh, and brother Guy, I didn't see you sitting there. The old heads is there too. Brother Bruce, make sure that on the way out they got a little chance to drop something in the bucket. Everybody need a chance to drop something in the bucket. You know charity washes away a multitude of sins. Did you know that? Right. Is that right, Brother Lawrence? Charity covers a multitude of sins. Them brothers too handsome. They need to pay some charity. Look here, brothers and sisters. I come to give you this report and to ask your support here in the city of Wilmington, but I can't do any of that before I address the real motivator, the straw that has stirred the drink that brought us here together. And that is my brother and my friend, my companion and my travel colleague, if you will. We literally have been coast to coast in this country, and we have driven in cars and fussed each other out, Brother John. You know, Deborah, you're snoring loud. No, I ain't. Yeah, brother, you're snoring loud, and I can't even drive with you snoring like that. But that's my brother. And I thank Allah for him and for his wife, Sister Violise, their family, and all of you who have answered the call from a committed community servant. Where is Brother Deborah? I don't see him in the room. Where he went outside, he's been working on something, Sister Trudy. Is that what he's doing? Probably so. But I thank all of you for being here, and I really want to ask you to give my brother a round of applause. He'll hear about it when you get back. My brother Deborah is a soldier. Now, family give you this report quickly because coming from out on the road and around the country, there are many things that you need to know about this effort for 10,000 Fearless. First, I want to ask you to make an observation. And my brother Lawrence is here with us, and he's a man with memory and a sharp recollection, because I surely had forgotten that class until you said it and it came rushing back to my mind. She thought she was slick. She thought she was going to hem me up. But all praise to Allah. Brother will tell you that if you look around the room, you'll see that the question of 10,000 Fearless is being addressed by a bulk of us who come from a generation that is not the generation that is the bulk of the problem. Look around. Y'all are grown men and grown women. But the problem is the little brother and the little sister that's the hopper in the street, the little banger in the street. And so they are not here with us this afternoon. They are somewhere else plotting and planning what they're going to do in their lifestyle. That's okay. But it has to start somewhere. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us and told us that this generation of young people coming to maturity today are the greatest generation that we have ever produced. They are fearless by nature. They're not afraid to confront and have conflict with anyone. There were some of us in previous generations, like Brother Imam Omar, who were fearless in your own individual life, but you were the exception rather than the rule. You, Brother Imam, were what they call a bad Negro. See? You was one of the people that would not conform, would not submit, would not kowtow, would not bow down. So you stood up strong, but it is now your wisdom combined with your fearlessness that becomes essential for us to share with our young brothers who are very fearless, but they're not very wise. In Baltimore, where the brothers just left to return to, there is a resurgence of crime in the streets. In Baltimore, for those of you who know, have always been a heroin town. Baltimore drug users always use heroin. Yet crack came through there. Some people smoke weed. Some people do other drugs. Even teas and blues dropped in there for 5 minutes. But Baltimore has always been horse. That's the kind of town it was. I'm using terminology that's maybe sounds slangish, but horse means heroin. That's the kind of town it is. So now the heroin trade has been taken over by young men who affiliate themselves and call themselves by names like the Black Guerrilla Family, BGF. You heard of them. And they identify with an organization that may have been founded on a principle to defend black people from oppression by whites, but the idea has been distorted, twisted, changed, diluted, and has fallen off from what it once used to be. So now people claim BGF, but they hurt each other. They hurt other black people. They sell drugs and death in the community, not because they are purposely wicked and trying to do that by their nature, but they're ignorant and they're motivated by quick gratification. They're motivated by instant pleasure. They're motivated by microwave happiness. So they think that they'll have happiness by getting money, by getting the car, by getting the clothes, by getting the whatever it is that they want to buy. They think they'll be motivated by getting the prettiest girl. What do you talk to her about? They don't know, and the girl don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not coming off on our young people, but back in the day, you had to at least have some conversation. They used to call it rap. Huh? You had to slide up like Little Sonny in The Intruders. I want to know your name. Right? Huh? I drive a little red Volkswagen. See? You had to talk to somebody. You had to have something to say. Many guys come to you with a line that wasn't true and you passed them by. But while you're in the center ring and their lines don't mean a thing, why don't you let me try? You have to say something nice to the girl, right? Nowadays, you pull up and ask the question, roll down the window. Could it be my chromed out whip? You broke your neck when you seen a brother dip, right? All because you like the way my Benz was rimmed up. This is what we have degenerated to. So our young people are in the condition that Pastor Lawrence told us that we're in. It's true. They walk up to you and threaten you. Step out the way, OG. I got things to handle. No, this ain't got nothing to do with you. I broke up a fight, this is true, about a year ago on the main quadrangle at Howard University. I was walking out of the Fine Arts Building, walking toward the Blackburn Center. And a crowd of young people surged up onto the yard from the parking lot that used to be in front of the old women's gym, which isn't there anymore. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And the crowd surged in, and I saw a young boy with a belt swinging it at a young woman, swinging the belt buckle at her. So, before I could think about how old I was and how bad my feet are. Shut up, Brother John. I walked over and said, brother, give me that damn belt. What do you think you're doing? No, it ain't got nothing to do with you, OG. You're gonna step out the way. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Something took over me. The grandfather came out of me, you know? I said, boy, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna whoop your ass. And then you're gonna sit down and learn some manners. I said, sister, sit over there on that wall over there. Sit over there. I said, give me that damn belt. He looked at me and gave me the belt. I said, oh, y'all gone. Ain't nothing else to see around here. Y'all acting like some park apes up in here. Get on up out of here. Now, y'all go. Now, okay, OG. Okay, OG. I found out OG might mean an old grandfather, something, I don't know. But they said, okay. I sat down with them, and the discussion that they were having bears witness to what my brother said earlier. This is a generation of orphans. The young men have never been trained how to be men. Therefore, they solve problems and react to one another after the example or the twistedness of their understanding of the example of their mothers. And women tend to be socialized, not that they have to, but they're socialized to deal with things emotionally. Have you ever heard the old saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy? At the house, y'all know what I'm talking about. Happy wife, happy life. Sometimes your wife will walk in the house, set her pocketbook down, and just look around the house. Nobody moves. Her look says, nobody moves, nobody gets hurt. Huh? She's in charge emotionally because she brings an emotional response that causes you to be off balance until you see to it that there's a relief from whatever's causing her emotional distress. These young men have begun to respond to one another on the basis of emotion instead of handling things like men. That's why today they shoot instead of scrap. Because can't nobody fight no more. Where's Brother James? Is he in the room? Yeah. Professor? Oh, he had to leave. He had to go because they got fireworks in Philadelphia tonight. Okay. No, he's responding to the safety thing. Okay. But look, men can't scrap no more. They don't know how to throw them things. So what they do is drive by, grab a pistol, close their eyes and pull the trigger, and shoot old ladies and little girls. And they shoot the wrong people. And they gun down innocent folks. And we now have become what my pastor and my brother said. We have become afraid of them. And people of no reputation are now stunting on and humiliating people who used to be in positions of honor. They come in your house, I heard you got a cloak. I might like your cloak. Hey, homeboy, what's them, Jordans? Let me get them. They'll take from you. And so now you and I have a responsibility to do what Brother Robert recounted from us, from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, that we need to step in between the gangs and the guns and each other. So the report I'm about to quickly give you tells you the progress in that vein in different cities around the country. After I give you that report, I'm going to ask you to provide material support for the establishment of the 10,000 Fearless in the continued establishment here in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. I'm going to ask you to do that because nobody's going to do it but us. And for us to come and act as if we're listening to something that we're weighing to see if there's any merit in it, we're past that point. We're not here today to qualify ourselves for your support. We have earned your backing by the truth and the freedom, justice, and equality that Minister Robert and our brother Lawrence Livingston and others have worked for in this community for years. Councilman, you're not here on a happenstance. You have a schedule. And your schedule permitted you time to come here and listen to solutions for the community, not to listen to ideas, not to listen to concepts, not to listen to wispy dreams of what might be, but to tell you the steps that are being taken. Now, I'm going to tell you these cities, and I'm going to finish with the city that has the most import, then I'm going to come back to Wilmington. Right now, and Brother Devereaux, I said something about you when you was outside. I talked about you here. I talked about you behind your back. I told people how much I love you. I told people how loud you snore in the car. Wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Where we at? You in the passenger seat. That's where you at. But I love my brother because he is a consistent worker for freedom, justice, and equality. Can you give him that round of applause again? Can you do it one more time? Do it one more time. And I love how polite y'all are in Wilmington. You're so polite. A round of applause. Well, by the end of the program, I want you to be able to applaud each other and yourselves with a vigorous, a gusto round of applause. All right? Because what we're doing today requires spirit. Right, Caballero? Yes. It requires spirit. Now, brothers and sisters from around the country, I'm happy to report to you that the 10,000 Fearless initiative called for by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been spearheaded in 3 main geographical locations. And each of those geographical locations has adapted the program to its specific requirements based on the lay of the land in their city, as you will do in Wilmington. But in Columbus, Ohio, Captain Dennis Muhammad took the initiative. Y'all know Captain Dennis. Captain Dennis took the initiative and has begun the national process of organizing. It's tireless, it's difficult, it's often anonymous, it's always difficult and hard, but he does it day in, day out. He's there. And he does these things from Columbus, where they've established a neighborhood boundary of some 18 to 20 square blocks that's called the Peace Colony. The peacekeepers, men and women of the 10,000 Fearless organization, actually patrol the streets at night to help people. We don't try to break up crimes, and we don't jump out like we the Cape Crusader. Wait, halt, citizen. There's none of that. But there is the presence of men, mostly men, who care. Because in our communities, they must be, as Minister Farrakhan said, made into safe and decent places to live. You can't have decency until you first have safety. So the Peace Colony has been established, and it is being established in Columbus, Ohio. One of the other aspects of the Peace Colony is that it involves business people who work in the various different business endeavors of their city. And how do they do it? If you're an Arab businessman selling us pork, but you don't eat it, but you down want to question whether we authentic Muslims or not, we're going to have to say to you, either you support what we're doing or we shut you down. Straight up. We don't have time to beat around the bush. You got to support what we're doing or else you're out of business. You may have some businesses like that in Wilmington. You may have businesses that they come in, the guy that changed his name from Muhammad, now he's Mike or Mo. Is that right? His name, instead of Jafar, he's Jeff. But when you come in the shop, he gonna sell you some chitlins, and he got Negroes in the back cutting the chitlins because he can't touch them, but he wants to make profit off of you because he don't even care about whether you eat pork, which is divinely prohibited to all the major 3 monotheistic religions. So what they do is they do that. So in Columbus, Ohio, the Peace Colony is being established. Right nearby here in Atlantic City, which is a few miles away from the center of the universe, Pleasantville, New Jersey. In Atlantic City, The 10,000 Fearless Peacekeepers have also received certification from Atlantic County to use Narcan. Have y'all heard of Narcan? Narcan, Brother Salahuddin, is the actual intervention medicine that when a person has overdosed, you can inject them with Narcan and it will stabilize their body and not allow the opiate to take over their body. This is important because, as you heard me say, Columbus, Ohio is one of the cities where it's been established. In Cleveland, Ohio, and Dayton, Ohio. If you've seen the news, you heard that Ohio is the epicenter of the opioid epidemic. Have y'all heard that? That opioids, heroin and Oxycontin, and I forget the other one is, what is it called? Oh, somebody. Percocet and Molly, they hang out together. And somebody else is another drug. But those drugs are being used to such effect in the state of Ohio that in Dayton, Ohio alone, in the first 4 months of this year, January, February, March, and April, in Dayton alone, there were 153 deaths from overdoses of opiates. They're estimating that in the county that contains Dayton, which is Montgomery County, Ohio, that they will have 2,000 deaths from overdose this year alone. Ohio, in Cincinnati and Hamilton and Middletown and Elyria and Cleveland and Mansfield and all the other cities in Ohio, people are dropping like flies. But now they want to make it so that you can get treatment for it instead of getting locked up for it like it used to be when we were the ones dying. Now white people are dying. So now they make it a healthcare crisis instead of a criminal crisis. See how America does? It's kind of shifty and shady. But we're on the point in Atlantic City. In Brooklyn, New York, where Brother Dennis has worked with the Reverend Johnny Ray Youngblood there in Brooklyn for a number of years. Brooklyn is working, and now we're on street patrols in Brownsville, East New York, in Bedford-Stuyvesant. And even as those communities are changing by gentrification, the last step before gentrification is that the forces that be allow a community to drop all the way into hell. And it becomes chaos. It becomes anarchy. And in the midst of that chaotic anarchy, then people say, I've got to escape. And then the rich forces come in, reclaim the buildings, put the people out, renovate the buildings, and make it a garden spot for themselves. In Brooklyn, New York, we're standing in the face not only of drugs and crime, but of gentrification by stabilizing black families and making it safe once again for black people to walk the streets. You should be happy over what's going on with the 10,000 fearless around this country. In Lexington, Kentucky, yes, we're in the bluegrass state. In Lexington, Kentucky, where there has been a spillover of the opiates in that city, as well as Lexington sits along Interstate I-75, which runs all the way from Tampa, Florida, up through and past Detroit. If you understand what that is, that's a major drug thoroughfare. Like 95 is on the East Coast, 75 comes up the middle of the country. Drugs, drugs, and more drugs. You know, and it's terrible, brother. I can see the concern on your face, my dear brother. But in Lexington, Kentucky, where they're using drug conduits and drug runners and drug users and drug sellers, you have to understand there is no drug money that's good money. All of it has attached to it the death from which it originated. And it will all come back and return the death that it started with. Ain't no drug money that's easy money. No drug money that's easy money. You think, well, I'll just slang for a few months. But you can't get in and out like that. Once you get in, it's like the stylistic said, it's heavy falling out. And so remember, this is something that we have to keep in mind. In Cleveland, Ohio, on the east side of Cleveland, along the Lower Kinsman area, and in the Huff community, in Cleveland, Ohio, some of the roughest ghettos in America, have now begun to respond to the 10,000 fearless, and you see the brothers in the communities, the sisters in the communities, making changes like you will soon do here in Wilmington, Delaware, on a much broader scale. In Detroit, Michigan, Brother Captain Dennis is in the high schools. We just left Cody High School on the west side of Detroit, if you know that city. Cody High School is in a high crime area, and we have students who came to us in this training, Brother Bruce. And they came to us, some of them without having fathers. You hit it, Brother Imam, right on the head. They don't have a daddy. They don't have a mama. So what they do is they come in, and some of them don't know how to wash themselves. Some of them have on the same clothes every day. Some don't know how to comb their hair or get along with people or brush their teeth, but they come to the school because that's one place they know they can get a hot meal, but they have to sit through at least the morning of school to get the meal before they bounce out. We caught them, and some of them stood up, and while Brother Captain Dennis was teaching, I was sitting in the room, and one sister stood up and she waved her hand and she said, "That man is my father." He had never met her socially before, but he began teaching a principle that he would stand for her when they attacked her, because our young women and girls are open season for predators, molesters, sexual assaulters, physical abusers, sex traffickers, pimps, hustlers, lowlifes of every description can run in and out the black community and take what they want from our young girls. How much more of that will we tolerate? How much more of that will we sit for? And so while today we entertain things on a theoretical basis, while we're deciding whether we want to help, our people are dying today. This afternoon, somewhere in this country, some black girl, I see you, Brother Deborah, it is very nice. Some black girl in this country is being abused. Some little black boy is being abused by some deviant in this country. What are we going to do about it? And how will we create the kinds of communities that make a difference? So in Detroit, that's being done. In New Orleans, our conflict resolution under the leadership of Brother Minister Willie Muhammad in New Orleans is taking bold steps to solve traditional beefs among groups of people and individual conflicts between persons. And it has saved lives in New Orleans. You know how wild a city New Orleans can be. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. In Charlotte, North Carolina, one of our newer chapters of the 10,000 Fearless Peacekeepers and Peacemakers is actually going in the streets of Charlotte, which has received migrants from all over the country. Charlotte is like the new Atlanta. You know how Atlanta used to be? Everybody said, "Man, I'm out of here, I'm moving down Atlanta." And everybody would leave. But now people are moving to Charlotte, North Carolina. And even Atlantans are moving there. So there's people from all over, and people are mixing up and conflicting and not getting along. But the 10,000 Fearless is present there in the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina, making a difference. It's doing what Imam Omar said a minute ago, is that we need to build for ourselves a religion and an economy that we can pass on to our children, so that we will be able to ask them what the wise man of old asked his sons as they gathered around his bedside nearing his death. He said, "What will you serve after me?" They said, "We'll serve the God that you serve, the God of Ishmael, Ibrahim. We'll serve that God of Jacob. We'll serve the God that you serve." But now, what will we pass on to our children when we've already allowed them to become orphans? We got to make a last-minute save. And so, I leave you with these two cities to let you know. In Atlanta, Georgia, we just received word this week that we'll be going in, and so in Atlanta, Georgia, you have Brother Captain Dennis and Brother Minister Sharif Muhammad working together to provide services to 10,000 Fearless in the city of Atlanta, which is a huge metropolitan area with black people from all over the country. But we're working together to make a difference for all people, but charity starts where? At home. It starts with our own first. When they came to you, Brother Imam, and said, "Can you cooperate with the Christians?" Everybody from way out on Concord Pike came in here and told you, "We'll unite with you, we'll stand with you." But that was the white folks. We need to unite amongst ourselves and make changes for ourselves. Obliterate the differences. Be able to understand that there are some things that are just semantics. The Holy Quran says to us in the 5th surah, which is called, in some translations they call it the food, in others they call it the banquet spread out. But in that they talk about the Christians. They said, "And Muslims, you will find those nearest to you in faith to be those who say we are Christians, and that is because they are humble and they believe and they practice the faith from a position of humility." That's our people. Is that all right? So in Atlanta, that's happening. Now here's the last piece, and I want you to understand. And then we're going to ask for your support, and you can have something to eat, and we can enjoy ourselves. brothers and sisters, we have got to realize that Trump is not playing. Trump, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, will actually, if he has his way, lead America into hell on a rocket ship. Is that what he said? He said that he would go, if you don't solve the problem, let me make my hands look real small. If you don't solve the problem in Chicago, I'll send in the feds. Now when he says he's sending in the feds, he's not talking about jobs, coach. He's not talking about any training or education. He's not talking about better housing, better schools, better food to erase the food deserts in Chicago. What he's talking about is he's going to send the feds in with the arm of the law, a steel fist, to try and impose martial law in Chicago. We've got to head him off. So we just received word this week that Brother Captain Dennis and others will be in Chicago making an appeal to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that he, Father Michael Flager, and other activists in the black community who work on behalf of our people, Mrs. Smithers, that they would all come together and that they would draw black men from around the city and assign them to the work that you're going to be doing in Wilmington to be done in Chicago. So you'll see the West Side brothers, and the South Side brothers, and the North Side brothers, and the Gary brothers, and the Bolingbrook brothers, and the East Chicago brothers, and the Hammond brothers. You'll see the South Shore brothers, and the Auburn brothers. You'll see the Inglewood brothers, and the Hyde Park brothers. And they'll all gather, and they'll begin to take their assignments to make sure when Trump comes in, he finds that we don't need you coming in here calling shots, because we are in our community, and we have men and women who are not afraid either of the drug dealers or of you, the ultimate drug dealer who put crack in the black community in the first place. This is what we must decide to do. And so today, if you're wondering what we're here to do, let there be no mistake. I leave you by calling for the word to go out from this place on this night, that we have agreed and concurred as brothers to do away with superfluous and irrelevant differences and distinctions, that we have come together on the principles of righteousness and faith and justice and freedom and equality, that we will stand up for our own children, that we will stand up for our own women. Our women are holding the fort down, and they're looking for black men to stand up. They're looking for black men to take our rightful place at the forefront of the black family. They're looking for black men to walk up to a young boy with a belt in his hand and say, "Brother, give me that belt." You don't have to use the language I used. That was terrible. I'm still repenting for that, Brother Imam, saying that I whoop, you know. But you didn't hear me say that, did you? No. But I'm telling you that today we got to make some decisions. And the decisions that we have to make will be to unite. When Brother Devereaux asks you for your name, when Brother Lamont asks you for your name, give it to them. Brother Lamont, so they know who you are, would you please stand up, brother? Just stand up. So that's our brother, the student captain of the FOI here in Wilmington, Delaware. Brother Devereaux, please hold your hand up so they know who you are. I think everybody already does, but that's our brother, who is the spearhead of the organizing initiative that is taking place. It is not under any church. It's not even under the mosque, but it is a statement of the maturity of the mosque and the church that they're here together saying, we got to get our community up. That is the beauty. Am I right about it, sister? Am I right? Or you just like the chicken? Okay, both. Okay, because she's like, yes. But see, this is the day when we unite. This is the day when we stand together. This is the day when we determine that we will be counted in that number when the saints go marching in. There is, of course, as I leave you, particular problems in Wilmington. There are aspects that make your city, as much as it is alike with all the other cities, but there are aspects that make your city distinctive. There are some things about your city that are unique, but we can address those things that are unique even as we stay in step with those things we have in common with the rest of Black America. In Black America, everywhere we turn, we are poor. I heard my brother talk about, because I just put it on my Facebook page yesterday, Brother Imam, How to Sell to the Negro, 1954. Johnson Products Company, they published it. In 1954, we had a buying power of 14, almost $15 billion. Now they say our buying power is $1.2 trillion. But our buying power is overstated and often misunderstood because in reality, we are cash poor. We are resource poor. And since we are entirely consumers, our so-called buying power is not really power at all because we're forced to buy the very necessities of life from our enemies. So we must develop buying power. We must develop buying intelligence. We must develop economic weaponized thinking. But right now, our people are poor. Do you know that the average white household has a financial worth of over $200,000, including property, equity in houses, vehicles, stocks, dividends from bonds, etc.? About 200,000, the average black or white family. The average worth of the average black household, this is including Shaq, this is including Steph Curry, this is including LeBron, Jay-Z, and Beyonce, all the rest of them with billions and billions of dollars, Oprah too. The average black family has the net worth of almost $5,000. That means everything you own after compiling your possessions over the course of your life is worth about $5,000. Well, white people have a worth of about $200,000 for their family. Remember, that's $5,000 for your family. That's you, Lil Mama, Sonny, Cookie, and everybody else in your family. $5,000. Do you know the average worth of a black single mother? The average worth of a black single mother in America, in terms of her wealth, $5. $5. I'm gonna say it again. $5 is all we got in our families that we're worth. Everything comes in, everything goes out. So, my dear brothers, I'm asking you, my dear sisters, I'm asking you to consider what we must do and let us put something toward this effort tonight. Let's put something toward this effort. No, Brother Deborah was not putting this money in his pocket. He's not putting it in my pocket. Coach is not getting the money. Brother Bruce is not walking out of here saying, okay, now I can get my glass tinted in my car. Nobody coming up with no corruption and no foolishness and no gain. But this first little $1,500 that we raise here tonight will be for the supplies, for the materials, for the necessities to build the 10,000 Fearless into what it must become. When we met over at the church over there off of 28th Street in, what was that, in January when we were here? February? When was that, brother? It was cold outside. But when we met there, it was a small group of men. We need to expand. We need younger brothers. And we need to do what my brother called on us to do. Everybody bring a young brother. That's what Brother Deborah told us to do. Brother Deborah, your energy is amazing to me. Because from all the time I've known you, you've never stayed away or shied from the work. But now step up even more, brother. Because this is the time for freedom, justice, and equality to become known and not just talked about. Our city council may look at us and say, you know what, we should get behind them. There should be other benevolent forces in the community, other churches, labor unions, associations that will get behind it because they're not going in the street. But you are 10,000 Fearless. Doesn't mean you don't have any fear at all, but you got much less fear. And when fear rises up in you, you say to fear the same thing we say to Satan, you get back and behave. Get back and behave, devil. Fear, when you rise up in me, get back and behave. Because there has to be something bigger in this moment, the love that casts out fear. Perfect love, if I'm not mistaken about it, dear pastor, perfect love casteth out fear. When you love, you can't fear, because love and fear can't occupy the same space at the same time. They're different in nature, they're different in quality, they're different in appearance and substance. So now we have to do something different.
I want to give a shout out to Bishop Anthony Slaughter, who's been the pastor for 30 years at Agape World Fellowship. Please stand, Pastor, so we can see our brother. He's here, our brother, Pastor Bishop Anthony Slaughter. We also want to give a shout out to Pastor Clarence Pettit, 14 years as pastor of Spirit of Life Lutheran Church here in Wilmington. So let's give our brother a round of applause. Their pastors and bishops and reverends who are ready to go to work. They just want to make sure that it's real.
And so the Honorable Minister Farrakhan has given us a standard, and that standard we are desirous of presenting that to our people, and that our people get on board in order to change the condition under which we live. As the minister taught us, Donald Trump is not going to solve our issues and problems, and white America, as we see each and every day, they definitely are not going to solve our problems. The solution is in our hands, and we have the ability to do that. So we thank you, and may God bless you and keep you. Assalamu alaikum.
We know that you have called us to this task, dear God, a task that is what we've always been about, freedom, justice, and equality, dear God, for our people, dear God. That's the word we have always heard, dear God. And so we thank you in the name of God for this time. We thank you, dear God, for the mountains and the valleys that are ahead, because we know, dear God, that without you, dear God, we can do nothing. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Oh Allah, do not punish us if we forget or make a mistake. Do not lay on us a burden that thou hast not laid on those before us. And do not impose on us afflictions we have not the strength to bear. O Allah, thou art our patron, thou art our protector. O our Lord, have mercy on us, and grant us victory over the disbelieving people. Amen.
Brothers and sisters, we are dismissed.